time for the Processing Podcast with yours truly, Mary and Sophie, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. It's officially October, and it's almost been a year since we've been recording this podcast. Pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's really crazy. Very strange to me that flew by in a year. Do we know how many episodes we've done?
Oh, that's a great question. Somewhere around 18.
Okay. Okay.
So we haven't
It's
been
like eight
fully
years.
committed to the bi-weekly episode, and I don't know where that would put us right now. That would actually be a good way to check where we're at in
Like
our
how well we're
our
doing.
productivity. Yeah.
Well, it should be. There's 52 weeks in a year, so there should be 26 technically.
Okay. We're not too far off. That's fine.
Not too far. And it was an eventful year. There was a lot going on.
There was. And there's way more stuff that's going to happen before our 1 year anniversary on this podcast, and especially right after with your wedding. But in approximately 1 month, maybe potentially less than a month, I'm going to become an aunt for the first time. And
Oh my
then I will
gosh.
soon catch up to you in my quarter life crisis, turning 25. So
That's
I'm
like a double whammy.
all of that.
You're not gonna be like the baby of the family
No.
anymore, and you're gonna be 25.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be standing by for a full-blown quarter life crisis.
Life is changing. 25, you talked about it before, and I listened to you, but I didn't give you enough credit for how different 25 sounds compared to 24, 23, etc. Like you're officially mid 20s. You can't pass for, oh, she just entered her 20s. She's freshly out of college. And
Nope.
I don't want to complain about it. I don't want to sound like, oh, like I'm growing up. I'm getting so old because everyone talks like that. But man, it's just different. If I
Yeah.
was in high school and I heard someone say like, "Oh, I'm 25," I would say, "Oh, wow, like do you have a house and a
Are you
career?"
married? Do you have
Yeah.
children?
Yeah, I mean that's just how it sounds. It just sounds like you have so much maturity that
Yeah.
you need to fulfill.
But
But
I don't feel it in it hasn't quite matched my soul yet. And I don't know if it ever will, to be honest. Like, my soul doesn't feel 25.
mhm,
Like, I would say my soul feels 21, maybe. That sounds about right.
I feel 23. Like I think
Okay.
23 is where I wish I could. And I think for me, what comes with youngness is just like in your career, you're able not it's just different when you're young and you're starting out in your career. Like there's so many firsts. And for the first time, we're entering a time where we are experienced. We have 3 years of experience. We're training in young and up and coming um, individuals in the workspace now. Like we
Yeah.
are no longer in that entry level position. And to me, that's crazy because you need to live up to that level of experience and expertise and all of the above. And I like the idea of being above my years and beyond my years than being exactly at the age I should be
Yeah.
with the amount of work I've
Yeah.
done. But as you also kind of alluded to, you feel a certain age. And my goal is to live a life like Kanye West, where you're just so innovative and using your mind constantly, where you stay young and you
Yeah.
move with the times, but you're not forcing it. And you're just okay with moving at your own pace, and your youngness will show.
Yeah. I think we're off to a good start. I mean, I feel like we're very youthful and sprightly. Like,
I
I
like
was
that.
actually, okay, have you seen, or anybody listening, have you seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that movie?
I haven't. I know the cast. I know who's in it, and I know it's
Okay,
a huge,
so
iconic movie. But haven't,
yeah,
unfortunately.
also
I
you
know.
need to see it
I
first of
do.
all. Wild. But okay, is it Jason Segel or Jason
Hmm.
Segel? Okay, Jason
I think
Segel.
it's Seagal.
He in that movie, if you watch it, he's 28 years old. He literally, I this whole time thought he was 40 years old in this movie. He looks so old. He looks like the
Hmm.
years have really took a toll on him and he's like
Hmm.
coming out of a midlife crisis, but he's 28 years old in this movie, which is a year younger than Darren. And him and I just like freaked out last night because all these years, because this movie came out in 2008. So all these years we had been watching this movie thinking he's so old and he's at a time in his life where he's breaking up with his girlfriend and he's going through a crisis and he's so old and that's what old people do. And to learn that he's a year younger than Darren at this point is so strange. And like
Hmm.
stuff like that keeps happening where I realize the people I looked up to at one point in my life are now younger than me at the point that I looked up to them.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean. And that's what kind of contributes to the culture around like aging, especially in that transition point from being considered a young adult and a kid to a full-fledged adult. And that's what I want to not have to experience. Like I don't want to have to associate it all with what it's like to feel like you're over that prime period. Because your
Mm-hmm.
prime can
Yeah.
last as long as you want it to. It's just your attitude and your perspective. We have to
I
keep
love
reminding
that.
ourselves that. It takes
Yeah.
work to stay young though, mentally, physically. You have to put in the work to feel that way. If you just let life go by and you're not actively working on yourself and keeping your body healthy, then you are going to age. And I haven't done a whole lot of any of that, so I need to take my own advice.
Practice what you preach there. There you
Exactly. And with it being October, football has obviously kicked off and ramped up like crazy, which means work for me has been crazy. And I know for you, Sophie, work has seemingly ramped up by the sound.
Yeah, definitely fourth quarter for us. Typically it's kind of like a sprint to the holidays. Like everyone's trying to spend the last of their marketing budget before the holidays, or there's big campaigns that come up before the holidays. And obviously, once the holidays hit, nobody's going to be running anything, doing any campaigns. So you have to get it done
Mm.
before basically December. So it's kind of a mad dash every year in Q4. And this is actually something that a coworker complimented me on, which
Hmm.
I guess is a good thing, but sometimes I wonder if it's such a good thing. They were like, "You're so good at logging off at the same time every single day, no matter what." And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I mean, for me, I draw very specific, hard boundaries between, like, okay, this is my personal time now, but I'm 100% during my work time and you can have me during these hours. But I just feel like it's kind of a slippery slope when you let other people know, hey, even though I'm technically logging off now, I'm always available, at 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I just never want to go down that slippery slope. So
Mhm.
if it's absolutely necessary and absolutely somebody needs me after hours, I will help them. But I will log off at 5 every day so that I can mentally turn off, have some time to kind of transition my work brain to my private life brain. And then that way it's like really easy for me during the week to actually relax. And I feel like it's hard a lot of times. And in different professions, it's more difficult to do that, like in your profession. It's not really a set time that you're logging off every day.
Well, it makes perfect sense. And to truly feel content in your situation with being able to say, like, I gave these 8 hours my full attention. I was diligent. I worked my hardest. And you know in your own conscience that you did your part and now you deserve that time off. And it's not stealing company time or, you know, indicative of your work ethic to log off at a certain time every day because like you said you're so committed during the time that you are working. And
Mm-hmm.
with some people, I don't think everyone, if they're truly honest with themselves, can say that. Like, I was as productive as I could have been, so I know I don't owe work anything beyond my 5 o'clock out time. Which, to be able to accomplish that is great. So you can truly be at peace when you leave and make sure you have all your stuff done. I notice a lot of my stress doesn't come from work necessarily itself because I love my job. And yes, I've had growing pains with my workplace, and there it hasn't always been perfect, but I think like achieving and staying on my timeline has been one area of my life that has kind of consumed me post college. And
Mm-hmm.
every year I've grown more and more like patient and aware of what's important. So for example, like my first year out of college, I told myself I'm going to spend 1 year at my first job out of college and then I'm going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I I was really like strict on that
Mm-hmm.
timeline. And I don't know, I know why, because I am so excited to achieve my goals of my job, location that I want to end up at. I'm just excited. It's not like I am disrespecting where I'm currently at. I'm just excited to achieve my dreams and I want it to happen ASAP. So then year two happens and then it's like, okay, it's just not making a whole lot of sense. Like there's still so much growth to be had. Like take another
Yeah.
year and slow down. Okay, so I learned that year two. And then but it's a slow process, right? So outside of work, I'm like constantly stressed and thinking about this. Like, oh my God, I need to do this. Like I'm not happy. Like I'm telling myself I'm not happy because I'm trying to reach my end goal like way too
Mm-hmm.
quickly. So then COVID happens and it's like, okay, you give yourself a year of um of leeway because no one
But
was able to work.
even that contributes to stress because even
Mhm.
though it's a valid excuse for why
Yeah,
you were delayed a year, it's still like, well, I'm still a year older.
that's a
I've eaten
hundred
a whole
percent.
year
Mhm.
regardless of the reason. So that's
A
stressful
hundred
too.
percent. A year of not getting the experience that I would have gotten, it sets you back for sure. And that's where the age comes in. Because yes, I'm 3 years post grad and I'm 3 years into my profession, but there was 1 year where all I got was like anchor experience. And there was so much time outside of work that's where my relationship formed in 2020. Like um bleeding into 2021 with my boyfriend because like the priority in the world wasn't sports, it wasn't, it was news. Like I definitely reported on things as the weekend news anchor that I never thought I would report on. It was the impeachment of
Mhm.
President Trump, and then after that was Kobe Bryant's death,
Mhm.
and then after that was COVID. And then I believe after that were the protests
Yes.
and the uproar following George Floyd's death. So there were so many crazy news related things, but you can grow as a broadcaster, your on-air presence, your,
Yeah.
journalistic ability, but sports is a specific um skill and talent area that I needed to grow in. So anyways, for me, that's just an example of how there's work stress, but like there's also, as a young person that is eager to achieve her dreams, and I'm sure
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that can relate to that. It evokes a whole new level of stress unrelated to what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Nobody listening freak out if you hear sirens. That's coming from me, not you. But anyway, so overcoming that has been very important for everyone
Mhm.
around me and myself.
Yeah.
And I think work stress is one thing, but also like achieving where you want to be at or think you should be at this point in your life,
That's
whatever
another
it may
level
be.
of
Yeah.
stress.
It
That's like
it
something that really gets in the back of your mind. Like I feel like day-to-day work, you can turn off your brain and you can
Mm-hmm.
switch to your private life. But if you're like thinking about your long-term goals and where you should be now and where you wanted to be, like that's something that is difficult, more difficult to turn off, especially at a time when you're about to hit a life milestone of turning
Oh
25.
yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the outside stressors don't have it's not a 9 to 5. It's a 24
Yeah.
hour thing. And but yeah, I think it's all what comes with growing up, and it's very it's very interesting but important to keep yourself in check. And for me, the way I guess like I've talked about all of the things that I'm sure are relatable to some people, but the way that I've personally gone about overcoming as much as I can. Like I don't think I'll truly ever be content. I'm just the type of person that won't be content until my dreams are accomplished. Like
Mhm.
I can't feel like I can't relate to someone that's just completely content, which I don't view as a bad thing, but I just like until I get to the point I want to get to, I'm going to constantly think about that. But I do prioritize happiness on a day-to-day basis. Like I can't waste so many hours of my day thinking about the future. How do
Mhm.
I stay present and stay happy? And
Yeah.
as long as I'm happy, like that's what this life is for. So that's what I learned in
Yeah.
that time. Like prioritize doing things that make you happy.
Yeah. I think that's something I definitely have learned too, because it's such a rat race, like when you're going through college, well, when you're going through high school and then college and then like internships and then getting your first job, like it's always like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Like, what's on the checklist? What can I accomplish? Um, and I think for a long time, I wasn't so much focused on like my day-to-day mental health. I was more so focused on like, what do I need to do? What needs to get done? How
Mm-hmm.
can I progress to set myself up in the future to be happy? But
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about the time that I have now to be happy. And it's actually, especially the older I get and the further away I get from, well, not, I'm still young, but I'm like the closer to the tail end of my youth that I get,
Mm-hmm.
I get almost like more paranoid about taking every moment in this prime that I'm in. And to your point, this prime could last longer depending on my mindset and how well I take care of myself. But, when you're in your 20s, you want to be able to say, like, I did this, I did that. I was really living it up and living my best life and so happy and so just like doing what I wanted and what made me happy. And so I think that's become more of a priority for me in the past couple of years. And I think is the reason why I'm so strict about when I log off so that I can do those things that I want to, that I think every 20 something year old should do during
Mm-hmm.
this time.
Exactly. Yep, I think that's highly important. And wow, life is crazy.
Yeah,
And the
it
amount
is.
of the amount of transitions we're going to go through in the next couple of years are going to be crazy. Luckily, I just as I said that, I realized, we're both dating for soon to be married with individuals that are in their late 20s. So we kind of can see what that looks like before and approaching 30 before it happens.
We can learn from their mistakes.
Exactly. So this is the headliner of the show. Um, Sophie had an incredible and emotional journey with her wedding dress. And you guys have heard us talk about her wedding dress before. I'll jog your memories. It was it around this time last year? How crazy would that be? Um, we did our podcast in person when I was back home in California. And it was the day that we went wedding dress shopping. And on her
Yeah.
first try, she found her, at the time, dream wedding dress. And since you have talked about on the podcast, about a little bit about the journey you were going through in revisiting your dress and how that was making you feel. So catch us
Mhm.
up to date.
So, um, first of all, like the moral of the story before I get into it and get lost in the weeds of it and possibly don't come back to the moral of the story. Um, the moral of the story is to trust your gut. And that's actually something me and my dad talked about after I made this decision. Trust your gut and don't listen to like what is standard or what you should do or like what other people recommend that you do. If in your gut you know that something doesn't feel right or isn't right for you, then you're probably right. You know yourself the best. So, what happened for me is I chose this dress with Mary in January and my mom and my grandma.
January 7th
And
to be exact. I was way off. Oops.
it's okay. You know what? It's like Q4, early Q1, close enough.
Yeah.
Um, but I chose this dress, and there were a couple of reasons why I chose it. It was similar to the dress I provided them as inspiration in that there's a certain style I was going for that's actually technically an older, like old-fashioned style
Hmm.
that isn't popular right now. And so they didn't have a lot of this particular style. So they pulled everything they had. Um, and so it was kind of close in the material, like the material was the same, and like the structure on the bottom was kind of the same of what I wanted, but it wasn't what I really was hoping for. And I think I was just getting caught up in, oh my God, I'm finally here. I'm dress shopping. My maid of honor is here. My mom's here. My grandma's here. Everything feels so special. And like, I do really like this dress and I want to get back into it. And so I kind of like made this rush decision. And also at the time of COVID, these appointments were shortened
Hmm.
because it was COVID and everybody, there could only be so many people in the shop. And so it was also a truncated appointment time. So I made this decision. I kind of convinced myself, yeah, like it's beautiful, like let's go for it. And you have to wait 6 months for them to order it, for them to make it, and for them to send it to you. And so in June, I finally got it back and I tried it on. And one of my bridesmaids, Emily, was with me. And I didn't tell her at the time. I actually told her after, but I'm like, I do not like this dress. I tried it on. It was so much tighter than the other one because they ordered a size down. And so they were going to have to let it out a little bit. So it was too tight. It didn't flow like the other one did. It was so boring in the front. And I put it on and I had never felt frumpier in my life. Like I felt
Hmm.
frumpy. And I was like, oh my God, this is a disaster, but I've already paid for it. And I've even asked them, like, is there a way to take it back? They're like, absolutely not. It's completely non-refundable. So I
What
looked
was
up
their
on,
tone when you made that call?
they were kind of concerned, actually. They were like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong? They were sad almost that I didn't like it. But I was kind of panicking and I was looking online, and this is kind of where the moral of the story comes in. I was looking online for what to do. What do I do? I don't like my wedding dress. How do I resolve this issue? And every blog I was coming across, they were like, this happens to almost every bride. Like, just take a deep breath. You chose this dress for a reason.
Hmm.
Um, the process of buying a new dress is so complicated, and you're probably just being influenced by all the things in your Instagram feed that you're seeing, which is true. I mean, my Instagram is flooded with wedding dresses. Instagram very much knows that I'm
Which is
getting married.
interesting that you didn't want to buy online, having been
Because
seeing all of these.
everybody told me that's not how you do it. And again, you should not listen to everybody because there are ways to
Oh,
get
okay.
around.
Wait, tell me more about that. Who was saying
Just like
in general?
everybody says it's a risk. It's a real, I mean, and there's some risk. Obviously, you can't try it on your body. Everybody's body's different.
Hmm.
Um, but again, you know your body, you know what looks good on you, you know your measurements. You just have to make sure you're measuring yourself correctly. And most websites where you can buy wedding dresses have some sort of return policy. So it's not
Yeah, and
that
that's
big of a risk.
that's what's interesting because my perception of the retail industry has changed so much. So
Mhm.
now a lot of stores don't carry as much or as good of stuff as they do online. There's so many online boutiques these days of,
Yeah.
bridal shops that are only online. So I think that's interesting that the reality of it might not be what we were always taught, which is to go try on your dress and, find it in person and get the whole experience. But
Well, and don't get me wrong, that is super fun. Like that
oh
whole
yeah.
experience is so fun and you feel so special and
Hmm.
you have all the people you love surrounding you and that's great. And I'm so glad I got that
Hmm.
experience. But ultimately that experience was not going to get me what I needed, especially because what I needed was something not popular at the time. Um,
Yeah.
so long story short, I have put my dress up for sale. It's currently listed on an app called Still White. Plug if anybody on here is looking for a wedding dress, you can go buy it. But it's this really great app that I found through The Knot, and it's a wedding dress exchange site. So basically, people put their dresses up for sale. They've either worn it to their weddings or they haven't worn it ever before, like me. It's brand new. Um, and people buy it. And the great thing also on the flip side is I have found my dream dress now on the same app. It really all worked out perfectly because she didn't list it until July. So I never would have even found it until after I got the dress that I ordered. She was the exact same measurements, same bust size, same waist size, same hip size. She's only an inch shorter than me, but she was wearing taller heels for her wedding. So that's fine. And it was almost identical to the inspiration photo I showed the wedding dress shop originally. Um, and it's literally the dress that I got originally. I was going to do all these alterations, like probably thousands of dollars of alterations to make it look more like the dress I have now. And
Hmm.
now all I have to do is really put on this dress. I might have to do a couple other tiny alterations to it, but nothing crazy. And um, I just could not be happier at this point. And I'm so happy I went with my gut and I just went for it and decided to sell my dress. And granted, I haven't sold my other dress yet, but there's still lots of time. I'm not in any big rush. And the dress I got from this other girl on this site, she took such good care of it, but because she wore it, it's half price. So it's half the price of the dress that I paid for originally. And it's in beautiful shape because she really, I don't even know how she took such good care of it. It's like she didn't even wear it at all. There's like hardly any evidence that she actually wore this dress. Um, so it's just such a relief. And I feel so much less stress. And I feel actually excited to get into this dress, which is incredible because the other dress, I did not feel that way at all.
Yeah, and there was still a time where you weren't sure what was going to happen. So you decided officially like you were going to find a different option with your dress. And you saw this one. You also saw another one, and you were willing to compromise potentially, but you really wanted the one that you eventually ended up buying. And for our listeners, I feel like it was a similar experience from what I was getting from Sophie in this time as like a Facebook marketplace where there's something on there that you really want, but you have to confirm one that it's legit. So you're wasting time doing that, waiting for reply from the seller while also hoping someone else didn't message first and are asking the
Yeah.
same questions. And you're as time goes on and the longer it goes where you don't get a response, you're willing to like just buy it right away. But you have to wait for the seller to respond, and really it's a matter of making sure that all of your questions are answered so that way you feel comfortable with the decision to buy another not as expensive as if it was brand new but expensive dress and go through this process. And it was just like anxiety inducing because it took, would you say, one full day?
No, I think it took more because from the time that I saw it to the time that I messaged her to the time that she actually responded and was able to send me a current photo and then
Yeah.
we actually paid, I would say that was like 2 to 3 days, actually,
Yeah. And
that whole time frame.
this is where it's available to anyone if they just decide like, hey, I want it first. What's nice about it, it is your exact measurement. So it's not like you're buying something that you're altering. Like the range of people that it can apply to is limited, but still, and it ends up being perfect. The dress, in the simplest of words, I think like the most um mesmerizing, like the most standout quality to me about it is how photogenic it is. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
one of those dresses that is the other dress. I think the way that I would describe this to anyone is like, okay, Sophie's first dress, in my opinion, was very beautiful. And I think Sophie, in my opinion, is like has a face and has a head of hair that can really elevate anything. There was nothing about the dress that was like her original dress that was like, oh man, like that isn't like that takes away from you in any way. Like, no, it just suited her perfectly. It was had beautiful detailing, and I knew that like her hair and makeup and her face and her smile would be the star of the show regardless of what she wore.
This is
But
why Mary's my maid of honor. She just hypes me
just
up.
hyped. So I knew no matter what, like you can't go wrong with this decision. And it was beautiful. And I think it was very surreal experience seeing you in a dress. So it was also just like, holy crap, this is happening. Just pure excitement. But this dress, and also with the feeling of like knowing what it feels like to be unhappy with the dress that you have, and then also feeling the anxiety of like not knowing if you're going to get this dress that now is your dream dress on a different through a different avenue. It just made it that much more sweet. But this dress is actually like equal in like it's par with your looks, your like how your face is gonna look, like your bottom half will match that. So it's just gonna be like this. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna be this very show stopping dress, and everyone will soon be able to see with pictures come April. And
Yeah.
I'm dying for it.
I am dying for it to say the least. It's taking everything inside of me to not walk around all the time in this dress because I love it so much. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, it was just meant to be because the price was perfect. The time that it went up on the website was perfect. The alignment with what I wanted before was perfect. The measurements were perfect. It's just, and it was literally in Oregon. It took 2 days to ship to my house. It was perfect. Perfect situation was always meant to be this way. And I could not be happier with my decision to sell and choose my wedding dress. That was the best decision I could have made.
A couple hard questions about it though. Just I'm sure our listeners are curious. I asked a lot of questions in this process, everyone. I was curious about how she felt in the moment, how the people around her were feeling. So I'm sure you're curious as well. First, how does it feel in general, um, positive or negative, knowing that you are wearing a dress that was worn for someone else's special day? Does it impact you at all or not?
No, it doesn't impact me. I mean, some people might be different. Some people might say, oh, I want a one of a kind. I don't want somebody's hand-me-downs, blah, blah, blah. But to me, we have no connection, me and this other girl. Nobody knows her. And if anything, I think it's kind of sweet that we get to give this dress another day in the spotlight. And she sent this cute little note in the package saying, how happy she was that someone else can enjoy the dress as much as she did. And um, I think it's actually makes it more sentimental. I really like that.
And her name.
Her name also is Mary. I was like, this is a sign. It's a sign from the wedding gods that it's meant to happen.
So I also am curious of if you're going to show your fiance the picture of the original dress of you in it.
I did. I
Okay.
showed him the actual dress.
Oh my God.
But I didn't put it on. I don't want
Okay.
him to see me in a wedding dress
Yep.
until the day of the wedding, and he agrees. But he totally agreed. He's like it's pretty, and it's like I like the back and everything.
No.
He's like, but it is really simple. He's like, it's very like just there's nothing wow about the front, you know? It's just very like
Exactly.
it's a white dress.
Very simple. And it like to me, that's what you were looking for at that time. And that made it perfect. Like this is what you want. You obviously look gorgeous in it. But yeah, it's just the second dress is significantly different
Yeah.
in the best way possible. Okay, so now parents' reaction because the dress was something you bought on your own. Apologies to disclose any information you don't want me to. So really it didn't impact anyone other than yourself of what you were willing to put towards it, right? So
Yeah.
your parents, it was more just reaction, not like it didn't affect them. What was their reaction?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I decided to pay for my dress on my own, so that's why I felt okay with making this decision. But once my parents saw it, I was worried about their reaction because I wanted them to be a part of it. I wanted them to feel like they were part of this process. And once they saw it, I took it over to their house and I put the whole thing on. I put the shoes and the dress and did the little hair clip and the veil. I did the whole thing and they totally got it. They were like,
Mhm.
yeah, this is a beautiful dress. Everything about it is so high quality, so
Yeah.
beautiful, and the front is stunning and the back is stunning. It's just like it's totally what exactly what I wanted. It's crazy. And it just took some patience and a little more of a financial investment for this time. If I sell my dress later on, then that won't be the case. I will have actually saved money.
Mhm.
So it just all worked out for the best.
So unbelievable. And incredibly lucky that you had the means and were able to find something that you were 10 times more excited about. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's really no challenge there. Like you made the decision and it worked out. Like I'm trying to think of what else people might be curious about of how it felt in the process of making this decision. I guess the biggest takeaway that I saw externally was your me wanting to see you in it all the time, like totally knowing what you mean by wanting to be in it and just walk around in your house in it. But for you to be able to feel that way about your own dress and and just want to like look at it and look at you in it all the time is I think the key for you and your experience. Everyone's different, but for you I think that is the biggest signifier that this dress is right versus
Yeah.
before where you were like not excited about putting it on.
And I think that's the thing people might wonder is like, how do you know when it's just like, second guessing or overthinking,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the right dress, or if it's like it's time to sell the dress. And I think that's the biggest thing is like
Yeah.
getting in it and feeling beautiful and feeling like a bride. Like I got in my old dress and I felt like I don't know, like a little girl when I put
Mm-hmm.
it on. Like I felt like a flower girl when I
Yeah.
wore it. And so it was just not something I was proud of. I wasn't proud to show people my dress
Mm-hmm.
before, but now I'm so proud of it. And I
It's
feel like, oh,
so cute. I'm so excited for the world to see it. Yeah, it's so cute. Um, okay, so oh, by the way, like in the process of you looking for dresses, I've never been one to think about like a wedding or plan a wedding or like prepare mentally for a wedding in my future. But I
uh-huh.
have two dresses saved, like in this, I think my phone hears us talking about it and has shown me dresses on my social media. And I have two that I'm like, I
You showed me one of them.
will. One of them, and I just found one recently. And I'm like, I'm
Oh,
going
really?
to wear this on my wedding day.
That's
I
how the
know
wedding process starts, Mary. You
it.
start saving things and then all of a sudden you're engaged.
Yep, crazy. Okay, so on the topic of weddings, life, relationships, today that we're recording is my official 2-year anniversary with my boyfriend, which is a very crazy thing. I keep saying to him, "Can you believe it?" And he keeps saying, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You can?" I can't believe that we've been together for 2 years because it's such a long time to like experience and be in this relationship. Like I can't pinpoint exactly what about it is shocking to me. But it really is just the a milestone. It's not there's nothing about it. It's just like, wow, what a milestone. But he's like, yeah, I can totally believe it. Like, yeah, time flies, but no, this is exactly what's supposed to happen. So on that topic, we're gonna go through some relationship scenarios and questions, and just to get a feel for what we are like and what our views and perspectives are in certain relationship situations. Alrighty, first one. Do you think couples need to have similar interests to be compatible?
Okay, I feel strongly about this one in that I, okay, it's like a weird way. So my dad feels strongly about this.
Mm-hmm.
So him and I have always talked about it. So, but his opinion is definitely yes. My dad's opinion is like, absolutely. It's so important, especially later in life when you guys get past the like puppy dog phase and being in love and being all over each other. It's important to have things that you like to do
Mm-hmm.
together. Um, and I totally get that, but I agree, like there should be some overlap. Like there shouldn't be absolutely no overlap, but I also think that there comes a lot of like enrichment and learning experiences and a lot of opportunity for growth when you do have differing interests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like for example, Darren loves gaming and fantasy and sci-fi and all of that nerdy stuff. And would I have considered myself a fan of any of that before we met? Absolutely not. But now, because of him, I've watched Game of Thrones. I've watched for the first time Lord of the Rings and all the Star Wars movies. And I've developed such an appreciation for that world that I just dismissed as nerdy before.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it not only like helps me contribute to conversations in the real world, but also it just like broadens my horizons. So I think it's a little bit of both. But if I had to say a definitive answer, I would say no.
I agree. I don't think you have to have similar interests. And I agree with your point of individually growing by learning about each other and what interests the other person. But if you are in a relationship and like the other person despises or actually dislikes your interests and vice versa, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how you overcome that. I can see you overcoming it, but like coming in with this preconceived notion of what that interest is or people that like that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of extremes of the other. So if you're pretty even kill and
Yeah.
you're into things and you're independent, how can you not grow by just being around each other and learning about each other's interests? But
Yeah.
I don't know if every relationship dynamic is like that. I would say mine's more similar to the example of what you described, Sophie, is I have my own things, he has his own things, and then we kind of learn about each other's things. Uh,
Yeah. I think I agree with you too. Like, it depends on the interest. Like, if somebody, for example, I cannot stand anime. I can't stand it. I will never be able to stand it.
mhm,
I don't know what it is. I just cannot take it. I just can't. I've tried. I can't. And Darren likes anime, but it's not like a core interest.
mhm,
You know, it's like if there's a new anime that comes out, he'll watch it, but he won't be like, oh my God, I need anime posters everywhere and I need to go to this anime convention. I need to watch every anime movie ever. But if he was like that, I don't think we could work if it was a core part of his personality.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it depends probably on, you know, the interest and how adverse the person is to the interest. And then also, um, I think it's just open-mindedness. Like if you're a generally open-minded person, I don't think you're going to have too many issues one way or the other.
Hmm. And yeah, I mean, if you have an interest that's like a lifestyle, like working out or traveling or something that really uproots like your day to day, then you should be looking for people that are in that world. And then maybe there's more that stems beyond for other interests. But in general, like if the general direction of your life is headed in a similar direction, then interests shouldn't be anything too crazy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I think it's definitely a positive, and learning to be independent in your own interests and not relying on the other person to experience
yeah,
those things with you is key.
agreed.
And
Totally.
and I think, yeah, really in a lot of the questions we'll go through, I feel like independence and just being secure in your own world is this the solution to many things. The more
Yeah,
the more but that's also what I find interesting is the more reliant you are on your partner, the more that you need from them, and the more what's the word, vulnerable you become. So it's
yeah,
good to have a little bit of that, but at the same time being your own person and being independent. It takes work when you're always around someone and you
yeah.
get you get complacent and like kind of lazy with it, like, oh, we're having a good time, but it's so important to put
Like we were
time
saying
away for
before,
yourself.
it takes work to take care of
Hmm.
yourself and invest in yourself. And it's easy to just melt into a relationship and become,
Hmm.
your identity can easily become your relationship. That happened to me in a previous relationship where everything about me was the person I was dating. Really, didn't have any hobbies or interests of my own.
Hmm.
And then, you kind of realize that well, not that it's bad to rely on your partner, but it shouldn't be the only thing you live for. You should have your own identity and you should be able to be independent and call yourself your own person.
Hmm.
Um,
I have a perfect example of that. So, well, kind of, but one way that I've actually had to work on that independence is um my situation is unique because I work a lot. So I don't, and I work at nights and I work, Wednesday through Sunday. So I
mhm.
don't socialize a lot. I don't have much of a personal life outside of what I do at home and my relationship and my boyfriend's family and so forth. And I, and also I think I've talked about on a podcast before. My boyfriend has myocarditis, which is a heart condition, excuse me, a heart condition that was developed. I think it's developed when a virus is in your system. The details don't matter, but nonetheless, his physicality is limited. So I recently started to get like kind of
Like
anxious being,
cabin fever.
yeah, like I wanted to go out and go hiking every day, and like I used to be when I was single, I prioritized like being very adventurous, like driving up to the mountains 2 hours away or a random lake and like just going and staying there. And I for like literally 1 hour, like I had this moment of weakness where I like told myself that it was his fault, like, oh, him not being able to do that stuff with me, I can't go do it. But it quickly shifted because I'm like, come on, like all you're doing is lying to yourself when you think that your partner like the is in control of what you can accomplish in your own life. Like I can go invite a friend and go do that, or I can go
Yeah.
by myself. Like I'm not dependent. My happiness shouldn't be dependent on him. But
Yeah.
I think it's pretty common to get into that mentality when you're with someone for so long. Like they my happiness is dependent on what they'll do with me or what we do together. And it's like as quickly as you can take that idea out of your head, the happier you can be.
Yeah, totally. It's easy, especially when you live together and you see them every day and they become part of your routine and you
Hmm.
start to think in terms of us instead of just me, then it's hard to make that separation. And, obviously you want to be a team, you want to think together, but you also want to be your own person. You want to be able to make yourself happy and
Hmm.
um
And
it's
not
hard.
blame. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So this question kind of is related in a way. So, do you believe there are deal breakers in a relationship, or can you work through anything? So, an example being, um, there's just so many possibilities, and I know the first thing that comes to mind is like cheating. Like, of
Hmm.
course, there are certain things that can end a relationship,
Hmm.
um, but generally, like when I read this question at face value, I think that there like most challenges can be worked through in a relationship if both parties are committed. And that's where you learn
Hmm.
if one party isn't committed or
Yeah.
willing to work through things or take ownership or kind of assess what the other person needs and cater to that.
Yeah. I think for me, and I'm sure lots of other people would agree with me. There are probably like three big deal breakers I can think of. Um, if your partner's abusive, I think that's a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
If your partner suddenly becomes like a criminal or something like a murderer or like a
Mm-hmm.
thief or something, I think that's a deal breaker. And then I some people might disagree with me. I would say cheating for me would be a deal breaker. And I think it's easier to say now without children and with not having, not being married and not having been together for 20 years. But for me, that's just crossing the line of basic respect. And I feel like if you don't have respect in a relationship or trust for that matter, then I don't really know what you do have. Um, so for me, those are the three things. But other than that, I would agree with you. Everything else, whether it be like financial troubles or maybe a decline in your attraction to one another, or maybe even like, I don't know, just like normal stressors of daily life that happen. I think all of that is totally surmountable. But those three, yeah, those other three are not, I don't think, for me at least.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have anything that I'm like, if that were to happen, like heck no, that aren't super serious. Like, for example, um, if your partner like let's say you golf like every week together or twice a month and then suddenly they're like I'm never golfing again. Like there's just so many little things that can happen that like yeah you can work through it, but then again your independence is put to the test. Like okay, what can you
Oh, that made me think of one though. What about if you can't agree on kids?
see? That's general life direction that I
Mhm.
think is is a challenge. Like it's not a little thing. Like that's like the direction, that's like where you see your whole life like going. And if
Mhm.
you don't agree on kids, I mean that's
That's a
definitely a deal breaker.
because
Even
you can't have half a kid. You can't be
Mhm.
like, oh, we'll compromise and we'll
Yeah.
just have a kid sometimes. It's
Mhm.
like, no, you either have a kid or you don't.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big ones. That's huge. I think okay, so oh, what I was gonna say, a silly example is like if your partner changes fandom, so like to the team you hate. So let's say like Evan says, "Oh, I'm going to become, a San Jose Sharks fan." And he like actively roots for the San Jose Sharks. Like that would be so aggravating and frustrating, but it's one of those that isn't, a huge
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
that you would need to end a relationship over. But I mean, yeah, I there's a couple that came to mind that I forgot while we were talking, but overall, I think most things can be worked through. And the older that you get, the more is at stake. So, like for you, if there was a deal breaker to arise right now, it's a lot more serious than if it were a year ago before you were engaged. It's a
Yeah.
lot less serious than in a year from now when you guys are married. Like
Yeah.
as life goes on, the threshold for what you can endure gets thicker, right? Because
Yeah.
you have there's less risk when you're younger to end a relationship over a potential deal breaker. So I guess you can understand we don't relate to it, but when you get older, the more that you're willing to put up with because there's so much more at risk.
Yeah. And I think one other thing I'll say on this topic is it's just all about, like we said before, equal commitment on both sides. Like if you're both equally committed to the relationship, then yes, things are you can overcome a lot. And there, it reminds me of I think it's a Chris Rock bit, and he says, everybody says relationships are so hard. They're not hard. It's like they're only hard if one person is trying. Like two people can lift a couch really easily.
Mm-hmm.
But if one person tries to lift a couch while the other person just watches, I mean, yeah, that's difficult. That's really hard. So I just think it's all about like balance and equal effort. And I would say 9 out of 10 problems are surmountable.
Mm-hmm. That's perfectly said. And I think we are both in relationship situations that are like good right now. We're
Mhm.
both in different phases of our lives, I guess, even though we're at the same age, but like we're coming from two perspectives that have like equal effort in a relationship. So we
Yeah,
need someone
that's
in here that's like going through something with their significant other
yeah.
um to really provide a different perspective. But nonetheless, so next one, do you oh, I want to do this one first. If your favorite, excuse me, if your partner's favorite celebrity confessed her love for them, would okay, wait.
No, it would be if my celebrity crush confessed their love for me, then would I leave?
Okay, yeah. I was trying to turn it so it was your partner going through it, but yes, we'll go through it as if it were just us.
Yeah. Um like how serious is this celebrity about like like is it like, oh hey, like let's go on a date
Like
or
you
let's have
guys had one interaction, like you were just happened to, grace each other's shoulders at a restaurant and your purse falls and you make eye contact and it's the most attractive celebrity that you have like a crush on. And it's always just been you've seen them on whatever show or music video or whatever it is, and it's just like a moment, a feeling, and then they stop you and they say like you are so beautiful, and they like find you on social media
oh
and
gosh.
like really put effort out, like, I can't stop thinking about you. You're the most gorgeous person, and I would love to have the opportunity to take you on a date, which is so tough because there's not that like level of commitment there. Like you
Mhm.
don't know like what if it doesn't work out. But in this scenario, like there's nothing that says it's not going to work out if you're willing to.
In my mind, I'm thinking about Justin Bieber saying all these things to me. And it's
Justin
like,
Bieber's your guy?
I think so. I think that would,
Wow.
I don't know what it is. He's just such a cutie patootie, but he also has like gotten very sexy over the
Hmm.
past couple of years. Like before, I would say 5 years ago, no. 5 years ago, Justin Bieber, no. 2022, Justin Bieber,
Yeah, but like
that's a
5
different
years ago,
story.
me, like, you know what I mean? We've all changed a lot in 5 years.
That's true. But I don't think I don't think 5 years ago me would let
Mhm.
5 years ago
Okay.
Justin Bieber have any effect on me.
Okay.
But I
So
don't
it's
know,
just this recent.
something about his look, his like the way he carries himself, what he's doing, how he secured Haley. That was a big like I was impressed by that, honestly, from him.
Hmm.
I would say no. I wouldn't let it ruin what I have
Hmm.
with Darren, but I would very much want to pursue like a close friendship with with this celebrity. And then, because part of me, as selfish as this might sound, is like, imagine the lifestyle you would have if a celebrity took you
Yeah.
under their
And
wing.
you have one life and all of the things that rich people experience, like you could experience that. I'm So you aren't willing to give it up. But for you, your love for Justin Bieber doesn't stem back that far. Because I'm thinking of someone for me that I've loved
Who?
way longer
Who?
than the relationship that I'm in.
Your celebrity crushes to me have always been jokes, and I don't know which ones you're serious about. Because like you'll tell me some, like you said Big Shaq at one time. You were like, I love Big Shaq so much. He's so attractive to
It's
me.
because I love talent. Like
Okay.
talent and personality are everything. So for me, well, I truly need to think about this more, but like the one that off the top
Is
of my
it
head,
Young Gravy?
no, 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 no. But I do enjoy Young Gravy. He has oddly gotten really mainstream recently. It's Tyler the Creator.
Oh, okay.
So my passion for rap didn't start till after high school.
He's gay though, right?
I think he's bisexual.
Okay.
Wait.
I mean, but let's say he was into you though, right?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Wait, now I'm questioning everything.
Changes your answer.
Well, yeah, because now I'm thinking, wait, I think he's bisexual.
Let's see. Let's just verify
Okay.
really quick. Is let's see. Oh, it says he's gay, bisexual. Gay slash bisexual,
According to what?
according to this random website.
Okay.
Oh, wait, LA Times. Let's see. LA Times probably has something a little bit more reliable.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, no, I have to just subscribe. Let's just say
Okay.
bisexual. I'm pretty sure we can rely on that.
Okay. And you're right. I like now that I'm looking back, I remember when I was in early college, I would like tell everyone that I wanted to marry YG. And that
Yeah,
one
I
I'm not
know.
serious about.
But
So
then
if
what?
he
Answer the
were to hit me
question.
up, okay, I have to tell this really funny story quick. So what was it? It was before I was ever in a relationship. And I went back home to California and hung out with, oh, you, but mainly Ali and Bianca. And Bianca took my phone and like was looking through my DMs for some reason. And she saw that I DM'd Tyler the Creator on my birthday. Hey, TTC, where we at? And but like she found it. So it was so much more embarrassing because I didn't get this like, hey guys, like I jokingly did this. She found it. So, anyways, like I'm not kidding. I actually had like an a fascination with Tyler. So I'm
Oh
thinking
my
like really
God.
if he were to hit me up, like
You would say yes.
I could no, okay, so morally and the person I am, I don't I like when once you're in a relationship with someone, like I can't get out of it. Like that's the person that I am like I love, I'm comfortable with, like that's my person. So my answer is no, but like that one would be like I guess I would have to experience it to really know.
You would want.
It would be a bummer to have to like, oh, I'm in a relationship. Sorry. Like I can't respond.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's hard, especially like because it's different when it's just someone like cute. You can easily be like, okay,
Mhm.
whatever. You're just a random cute stranger. But if it's someone that you know is highly successful and world famous, if
For men like they're famous for a reason too. Like
now
they're
I'm curious to see like Evan and Darren's responses, our significant others' responses to this question, because we're loyal.
okay, we're here with Darren and Evan, and they're going to answer the question. So, first, both of you have to say or reveal who your celebrity crush is. If you had to pick one that you are or have been infatuated with. I know Evans.
Well, I like,
Say it. Say it.
Zendaya for me.
Okay, but we're talking in their prime. It doesn't have to be them today.
It can be prime. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be today.
Selma Hayek.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What do you say?
I get that.
Salma
I get
Hayek.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so picture you're at a restaurant with your buddies. So your significant other isn't there. And Salma Hayek or Zendaya walks by you and you guys brush shoulders and it causes her to drop her purse and you guys share a moment and you guys look at each other and it's like, oh wow, that was steamy. And then she goes and finds you on social media and hits you up and says, hey, like I saw you and I think you're really attractive. I um I would love to go out on a date with you. And it's super serious. What do you do? Sophie and I
got my
answered
answer.
this. Sophie and I answered this already.
Yeah, we answered.
I would not respond, and then I would hold it over your head for the rest of our lives.
Okay. Interesting. You wouldn't respond to Zendaya?
He uses it as a bargaining chip.
Well, first, who's your celebrity crush?
Well, I said in this case, Justin Bieber.
Okay, well, in that scenario, I would encourage Sophie to go on the date. I'd be like, it's Justin
Wait,
Bieber.
who's
You got to
yours?
do it.
But then what if I left you?
So my answer is, yeah, you go on the date, but it's platonic, right? Like it's just I want to date with.
No, but then she's like, I want to date you.
Well, you have to have your
But it was
limits, you have to have
serious.
boundaries.
So he basically said the same thing. I said I wanted to be friends.
But you gotta do it, right?
Okay,
go
you
on the
guys
date.
you guys had a similar answer. Wow. The engaged couple has a very similar answer. Essentially, Sophie said
was your answer?
platonic, and she wanted just to like build a friendship out of it so you can say you did it or but I don't think this is someone like ideally in this scenario, it's someone you have like had an interest for even before you met each other. You know, it's like a long time
Big
celebrity
crush
crush.
on.
Okay, this is also different because off camera, I asked Aaron this question and he said, hell no, I wouldn't go on the date.
For me, because you gotta say that. But I'm saying for her, I'd say, yeah, you definitely gotta go on the date.
What
Okay.
about you? You wouldn't go on the date?
Would I go?
Platonic,
I would go on the
answer.
date. I would go on the date. I would go on the date.
Would you tell me about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like
So
that.
you would go on the date, and what if you realize like your life can be significantly, you can experience so much more because she's rich, famous,
Wow.
she can take you where you've never been before, and it's everything you wanted. that you can't achieve
Dang.
without money.
Evan, what do you got?
Evan's did you hear him? He said
No.
What do you got?
What do you mean? What do I got?
Like, I think Evan's just very, I think
So Evan's not going on the date. Well, if
he's
it's
not, he's kindly rejecting.
okay, so if I go on the date
Platonic
and
doesn't
it's
seem like an option. You said that she was serious about pursuing me.
Yeah, it's serious.
So that you can't really be friends at that point. So you have to just cut it off unless you're going for it.
I mean, I like,
yeah, you just gotta. I mean, if it's so you're saying it's like if it's everything I dreamed it could be, and then it's like then you start to have doubts or something.
yeah.
Well, then you're in a different boat entirely. Now we have a lot of problems. That's why you got to do what Evan did. Just say no to the date. Save yourself the
Yeah.
heartache.
Yeah, I think I loved your answer though, Darren, about like you would tell Sophie to go on it. Because mine, Evan, was Tyler the Creator. And I would hope that you would want me to go on it.
Wow.
That would be
Yeah, could it
You
just
have
be
a crush
one
on
date?
Tyler the
Yeah.
Creator?
Thing after that.
If it could be like one date, that would be
What
fine.
no,
I think
this is you're basically leaving your partner for this celebrity.
Oh, well, you
I
guys
know.
didn't frame it like that. I'm leaving Sophie to go on this one date. Like I have to leave her.
I mean, going on a date, you might as well end the relationship unless you
Oh,
guys have
well.
a pact together that it doesn't mean anything.
I mean, if the fine print is I go on this date, I have to end the relationship with Sophie, then hell no, I'm not going.
Nothing's that simple, Darren.
Okay, well, a lot of these hypothetical situations are just crazy.
Well,
I can't answer it straight up. Like, no, I wouldn't go on the date if that was the case. Hell no.
yeah. I mean, that's the correct answer for the engaged couple. So I appreciate hearing that. And you guys both had a very similar answer. Now, mine, it was just funny because Tyler is someone that I've passionately followed since before I knew Evan. So it's just like that would be so crazy. And yeah, but no, I mean, I wouldn't go on the date.
Good answer.
So we're all loyal.
we're all loyal.
Yeah, but you'd go on a date with Selma Hayek, though.
Would you go on a date with Selma Hayek?
No, Mary.
Oh,
would.
me?
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
Oh,
you know
that's
who,
different.
you know
like a
who I'd
girl
go on a
date.
date with? Like, no joke, if Evan allowed me to. Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh? Who's that?
Mm.
Who's Florence Pugh?
Yeah, sorry.
Darren
I'm not
asked
close.
that?
Yeah, Darren asked that.
Florence Pugh.
Black Widow.
Well,
Oh, yeah, the Marvel actress. Okay, gotcha.
She's more than a Marvel actress, okay?
she's not.
She's not Black Widow. I thought Scarlett Johansson is.
Huh?
I don't know. I thought that's Scarlett
No,
Johansson.
not in this case. No.
Well,
But anyways, I think overall, this is all the right answers. But despite Darren saying he'd want to go on the date, just one date. But other than that, it was good.
I mean, if it's an option to just go on the date and your partner is in on it, then heck yeah. But like this is ending your relationship. Like you have to choose
Yeah.
money,
that's too
fame
easy.
over your current relationship. So, okay, that's it. Well, that was a bit chaotic. And I don't know if anyone was able to hear Evan because he was on FaceTime. So I had to like hold the speaker up. Ironically, I said ironically weird. Ironically, he's in Houston for a work trip on our 2-year anniversary. So
Aww.
celebrating in a week. But anyways, so I mean, I already knew Evan's response. I have a confession because I've brought up that exact hypothetical because I knew that Zendaya was his celebrity crush.
And does he usually say that answer?
Yeah. Well, I've only asked him once and he said like, no, I'm dating you. Like he's completely content. Like he didn't even like, oh, let me think. Like he just had the same answer he did. But I think it's just more valuable if it's someone that you've followed for like you know, the people that like have followed Justin Bieber since they were in 8th grade or like
Yeah.
6th grade to now, you know, like it has to be a deep rooted celebrity
Yeah.
crush to really make it interesting.
Yeah. I know. Darren, I was pretty satisfied with Darren's response. In the end, saying no for sure was the right answer. But also, I get his conflict because if Justin Bieber messaged me, it would be a really tough day.
Yeah, Darren's like a very motivated spirit. So for him, it sounds like he sees it as an opportunity, like just to one said you say be able to say you did it and then
Yeah.
get to experience something new, which
Yeah.
100%. But like that's what's not that's what's only you guys can relate to because you're engaged. So there's like not even a question. But like I really think it's different if it's someone that you have actually like had a crush on because you have followed their work so
Yeah.
closely, you know?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a
It was
wild
wild.
scenario.
That was wild.
But we had like a million other questions, but we spent so much time on each individual question. And I think how can you not leave it on that? That was the peak of all of those questions.
Yeah, 100%.
And that will do it for this week's edition of the Processing Podcast. We have so much to talk about the next time we speak because the bachelorette party is, let's quickly look at the countdown before we go. The bachelorette party is coming up, and I've already started looking at plane tickets. Like,
oh my God, I was gonna start doing that.
because there's randomly a bunch of sales happening right now. With Amazon, Target, Southwest announced one. There's 141 days until your bachelorette. So
oh my gosh.
we have more to discuss. Yes. Thank you for listening, everyone. And we will talk to you guys again in 2 weeks.
Talk to you guys later.